All right, so I now want to bring in my colleague Chris Thairu, who's joining us from our City Centre studio, and he's going to be updating us on that secession bill that was sponsored by Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma. Chris, good morning. So we understand that this has already been fronted to the IEBC for review. Can you confirm that, and where are we?
Yes, a very good morning to you, Betty, and dear viewers. As you correctly put it, that bill that proposes to secede from the country, that is 40 counties out of 47, has already been prepared and finalized by the Member of Parliament for Homa Bay Town, Peter Kaluma. And right now, we understand that it is with the IEBC just for perusing, and then it will be availed to all the 47 counties for debate and adoption before it is presented to both houses of Parliament, that is the National Assembly and the Senate. Remember that this bill comes only days when the motion, a motion that seeks to form the People's Assembly, is being debated in various counties. And so far, 4 counties have already passed that bill, debated and adopted that bill that seeks to form the People's Assembly, and also push or pile pressure on the Jubilee regime to agree for a repeat of the presidential polls within 90 days. According to that motion, it states that at least by the 9th of February next year, 2018, that repeat presidential poll should already be conducted. Remember that this secession bill has also some of the grounds that Peter Kaluma has come up with, and the reason why he thinks that 40 out of 47 counties need to be excluded from the whole, from Kenya, and form their own republic going by the name the People's Republic of Kenya. Out of the 47 counties, the 7 counties that have been excluded are those counties that the NASA fraternity feel that they are affiliated to the ruling Jubilee regime. And one of the main reasons that they're raising that they need to secede is that the current regime has marginalized people who come from these 40 counties, and that they continue to even deny them in terms of resources, marginalizing in terms of resources and development projects in those regions. And they've also cited that the current regime is not interested in devolution, and that's the reason why they feel that this is the right time to secede. Remember that these talks have been there. We had the Mombasa Republican Council, and although it went under, right now we've seen political leaders or political players from the coast region coming out indicating that this time around they take these things seriously, and that it is time for them to secede. Of course, Betty, from here we know that this bill, since it touches on Article 255 on amending the Constitution, the territorials of the country, of course the resources, it will also need to head to the referendum way. And we know that the process of holding a referendum in this country, you must collect signatures, million signatures, take them to the IEBC, and that IEBC is still the same organization, the same commission that is expected to conduct that election for calling for a referendum. Betty.
All right, now Chris, talking about the 1 million signatures that at some point need to be collected, and you'll remember that when ODM was trying to, of course, trigger a referendum, they were not able to make that number. If you remember, there were quite a number of issues with the people who were able to, collect, submit their signatures. So what's going to be different this time round?
Well, this time around, what they've indicated is that they will first start with, they already started with this motion to push for the formation of the People's Assembly. And remember that that motion has a variety of proposals. And one of the main proposals is amendment to the Constitution, amending the Constitution and strengthening commissions. Those are independent commissions like the IEBC, the Police Service, and the Judiciary. And what they've taken this time round, it's different because they've gone to the counties. First, they've started with the counties. If at all they garner at least 25 out of the 47 counties, at least politically speaking, they will have already indicated that to them that at least half or more than half of the country is ready to secede, and that's where they have started. Then later, they will be expected to go around the country and collect 1 million signatures. This time around, remember that although they didn't make that mark, but to them, they had already indicated that, yes, they had already collected 1.6 million signatures of Kenyans who wanted that Okoa Kenya referendum draft to be adopted by at least all the 47 county assemblies. And according to them is that those signatures were manipulated by the IEBC. And on their side, if at all, to them and the team that is organizing these, they feel that if they start from the counties and they get at least majority of the counties, then collecting signatures from across the country, it will be easy for them this time around. Betty.
All right, Chris, finally, are the leaders from the opposition speaking in one voice on this one? Because also, just about 2 weeks ago, we had the leaders from the coast saying that they also want to secede from Kenya, and this particular, bill or sponsored bill that is brought up by Peter Kaluma says that Kenya needs to be divided into two. Then you have this other group of leaders from the coast region saying that they want to secede from Kenya. So really, how unified are these calls for secession even within the opposition?
Well, Betty, at some point, these leaders will have to come to a round table. Remember that those leaders who are pushing for secession at the coastal region, they are all affiliated to NASA or the opposition, or NRM, if you'd like to call it. And when we saw those leaders led by the Mombasa governor, the Kilifi governor, and some leaders elected in that region, what we saw next were leaders from Jubilee coming out and saying that, look here, this is something that has already been passed. This is something that is not workable. Let's just work with the national government. And if at all they'll have to speak to one voice, they'll have to come to a compromise, both teams. And from where I sit, it will not be hard since those who are calling for secession at the coast province are still affiliated to NASA, and their next course of action, of course, will be to come to a round table and agree on how they will push this. But first, Betty, what they want is those counties from the coast region, that is Mombasa, Kilifi, Taita Taveta, Tana River, Kwale, and Lamu, to sit down and first pass that motion that is expected to form the People's Assembly before they debate and adopt this bill by Kaluma that seeks for the exclusion of 40 counties out of 47. Then from there, of course, they will have to sit and agree on their next course of action. Remember, Betty, that what we've seen is that the political, as the political season continues to heat up, and as we head to the Supreme Court this week, since we expect that ruling to be delivered by the end of this week by the Supreme Court, we also understand that preparations for swearing in the president are ongoing. And the other side of the opposition have already indicated that, look here, if they go ahead and swear in President-elect Uhuru Kenyatta, then nothing will stop them from swearing in their leader Raila Odinga together with his deputy, that is Kalonzo Musyoka, given that up to now they don't take this government or the current regime as legally elected by the people of Kenya on the 26th of October. And so from here, but let's see how these political scenarios take shape, even as we wait for the arrival of their leader, that is Raila Odinga, on Thursday from the US. Remember that they have organized a grand homecoming for their leader, and according to the plans and those who are organizing, is that there will only be 4 vehicles, those of the 4 principals, that is Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, and Moses Wetangula, and the rest of their followers will march from the JKIA to Uhuru Park, where they will be addressed by their leaders. Interesting times and, of course, behavior of activities, politically speaking, this week, Betty.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris Tairu, joining us from our City Centre studio, just bringing us up to speed with quite a number of issues on the political scene, including that secession bill that has been sponsored by Peter Kaluma, the Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament. All right.